Hi, this is India with Bags and Lifestyle. Thank you so much for watching this video. I forgot my microphone. Hold on. Alright, I think that's better. Or hopefully you can tell the difference. Alright, so like I was saying, welcome to my channel. Either way, whether you're new or you are returning, thank you so much for clicking play. So for my new folks, I talk about handbags and also will incorporate lifestyle videos, related topics. So definitely keep on coming back, hit subscribe. That would be great. All right, so today this will be kind of like the second part of a video that I did just before this one, which it will be linked at the end of this video. So that way you can check that one out too. And that video talked about basically how can you figure out whether you should sell to a small, like local consignment shop versus a larger consignment shop. And I got this idea because I've gone through that same thing. So if you saw that video, thank you. If you haven't, check it out when you finish this one. All right, so this one will be the other side of the story. And this will be what are some things to think about, as in what I think are helpful things to think about when you want to sell to a larger company. So when I'm saying a larger company, I'm talking about your really big ones like your Fashionphiles, your Tradesy. Did you guys hear the news? Well, you can't sell to Tradesy, you sell yourself, I'm sorry. So really Fashionphile, your Real, and your Rebags, and there's some other ones out there too, but those are the ones that are most well known. So the other aspect of this is going to be, when should you take the buyout basically and let them take on that hurdle or the job of selling your item, and then that way you get your money faster. So I have a few that I've listed as when it's better to sell, or when I think it would be better to sell. So we'll go ahead and get into those. So first up is going to be deciding whether to sell to some of those bigger companies, taking the buyout, like I said, which will be when you don't want to have to, can't read my handwriting, child, market and maintain an item yourself. And by that I mean, in any of these different platforms, there are different ways to sell. So like, for example, with Poshmark, you're having to refresh. It's not like just list it and let it sit there and somebody finds it. Poshmark is more of a social platform, social secondhand platform. So you're having to not refresh, but what do you call it? Share your items so it pops up at the top of the list. When you have parties, sharing those items in your closet to the related parties so it stays on top of mind in front of people. That is very different from, for example, eBay, where you will use keywords, basically strategic keywords, to get your item to pop up, rank. So all of those from one spectrum to the other with different kind of do-it-yourself, sell your own items platform. That would be a big reason why maybe you should not go the route of either going to a smaller consignment store or selling it yourself, but you just don't want that hassle. So if that's you, then maybe you should take the buyout. But there's some other ones I have listed here too, so these might be applicable to you as well. So keep listening. All right, next up is going to be, you don't want the hassle or risk of dealing with potential scammers. If you have been on YouTube for a little while, you've been watching people in the luxury community, there have been people that have been talking about how they have been scammed, or how, either way, like whether they were the seller or they were the person who purchased, either way it's tricky when you're dealing with everyday people or people that you never met, or not a physical location where you can go back to the location and say, I have an issue, and you're talking to someone that you have no idea who they are out there in the internet fairyland. I didn't want to say internet streets, so I just decided to say something else. Whatever. So that is a risk, and that is something that it has challenged as well as been a hindrance for some people. You have people that are very nifty, very good, and they're able to finagle their way around, whether that is lying and saying that they did not receive an item, whether that's once it is out the door and on the way to them, they call their bank and say, I didn't authorize this charge, and then now your item is gone, and also you don't even have the money as well because the bank has taken it back. There are different scenarios. There's also people that have lied and said it's not the real thing. They put a fake one in the bag, in the box, send it back to you, and then they now have your real item. So there's been, and that's probably not even all of the scenarios, but those are the ones that come to mind. And those are things you have to think about when you're selling something on your own. And maybe that's why you maybe want to go with the buyout option rather than having to deal with a smaller consignment store or also selling it on your own. I will say the difference with a smaller consignment store is going to be, usually with smaller consignment stores, you are waiting for that item to sell before you can get your funds. So the basically time is going to be the situation. Time is going to be of the essence, with kind of that biggest difference between a Fashionphile or Rebag or Real versus a smaller consignment shop like I was talking about, the one that I've used personally, which is a Lexus suitcase, which is one of the ones that are very well known around the United States, or very well known around Georgia, but they are making a name for themselves outside of Georgia, and there's a lot of people that have mentioned them. Actually, I think Catherine, which her channel, I can't remember her name of her channel, but I'll throw it down here below. I enjoy her channel. She talks a lot about pre-owned, and she mentioned it, and she doesn't live in Georgia, so it's really cool to see someone talk about a company that is local to where I am, but they're not a local, pretty much. Anyway, I'm just going down a rabbit hole. You get my point. You get my point. All right. So moving on, the next point I have here is going to be, you have an item that is not as popular but does have a high resale value. So specifically in this case, I do have an example of me deciding to go with Fashionphile versus going with a smaller consignment store or selling it myself. And I had a Hermes Victoria that I decided to let go. And I debated selling it myself because I had my own closet on Poshmark. I also had my own closet on Tradesy. I also had eBay, as well as a store on Shopify store, where I could have sold it for all of any one of those areas there. But I decided to go with a larger company is because when I started doing some research, first off, an Hermes Victoria, if you close your eyes and think Hermes, you think the bags that top of your mind bags are going to be Birkin Kelly. Everybody knows those. Next up, I would say would be a Evelyn, maybe also Evelyn or Constance, Garden Party. Those are some well-known ones too. But Victoria does not come up top to the list. And it also is a distinct style. It can look a little frumpy to some people with its styling, and not be something that's as trendy or cool to carry around. It's a very kind of slouchy type of bag. So for those styling purposes, and also because it's not as well known as some of the ones that everybody's going after. So for those reasons, I decided to go with a company that had a broader reach than I did to help push along the sale faster. So that's the reason why I said something that is not as popular, but it's with a really popular brand, and it still has a high resale value. So because Hermes has a high price point already, I knew that I wasn't going to get every cent of my money back, and I knew I was willing to take that chance. But it also was enough of a resale value on it that I knew that at least I would get a decent offer I anticipated I would get a decent offer, and I was right, and so that's why I sent it into Fashionphile. So if you have something like that fits that kind of middle category, you may want to decide to sell it to one of your larger companies and take a buyout, because that way you're not getting $200 for an item that you know a lot more for. But also, you have to look at it and weigh the pros and cons. When I was doing my research, I saw that bag there, like for example, if there are 15 people looking for an Hermes bag, right? Maybe 2 of those people are willing to buy a Victoria. So kind of the ratio was just, the chances were that someone specifically looking for that bag was going to take a lot longer. And I wanted my money sooner so I could purchase something else. So for all of those reasons and mixture, I wanted to go with a larger company, and I was okay with the offer that Fashionphile sent me, so I decided to go with that. Now, we're at the middle of the video, so definitely consider liking if you're enjoying, especially if you're at this point. Please go ahead and like it. Also, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to see you back. I load videos My words are not working today, child. And probably if you see most of my videos, I say this all the time. But anyway, I was about to say every 2 weeks, but I want to say twice a week. Wednesdays and Saturdays. So definitely subscribe and also hit that notification bell so you're notified when I load a video or it's released, but on that schedule, basically. Next up is going to be your chances of getting a decent return are going to be better with one of those larger companies. Now, when you sell to a larger company, obviously they're a business, so they're going to lowball you because they're taking on the risk, basically. And so for that reason, because they're taking on the risk of selling it, they've already handed you your money. You can run off and go to the beach with it. And then they have to basically recoup the funds that they gave you and also make a profit. So you have to be realistic with yourself and know that even though you may be able to sell that LV bag for $2,000 on your own, unless it's a highly covetable item and it's flying off the shelves and, the stars align with that piece, you have to understand that when you are getting an offer from some of these places, they're not going to give you $2,000. They're not probably going to give you $1,500 if that's what you can get. They may probably give you $1,000, and that way they have that $1,000 wiggle room to pay staff, to pay to get it photographed, to pay for the marketing, and all of those things that come in with running a business and also getting a profit off of it. Now, I'm not saying I wasn't offended by lowball offers from a company before, because I have. I think I talked about it in my other video where I talked about my Ferragamo studio where I decided I wanted to sell it, and retail price was $18. I purchased it for $800 off of brand new off of Poshmark, so I got a $1,000 discount from getting it from Poshmark. But then also, Rebag wanted to give me $200, and I thought, oh no, we're not doing that. So I took it to my local consignment store to get the money that I got for it, which I ended up getting, I think, about between $1,000 and $1,100 back off of my just being patient and going another route. So definitely you have options out there, but I say all that to say if your chances are better for getting a decent return, that's when it's worth it, which kind of ties into that other point that I made where I'm saying that you have this unique item, you need kind of more eyes on it that you have reached than you have reached for, but it still has that price point where you're still able to get a good return. So all of that is going to matter, and I think it matters with when deciding where you're going to send your item. Okay, and then next point is going to be there's a product you want at that retailer or at that store, and you want to offset the cost of your purchase. So 100% if, I think actually, oh my gosh, why I can't think of people's names right now. What's her channel? Right down below because I can't think of it right now, and I have her picture in my head but I can't think of it. She's super funny, but she had mentioned doing a trade or something like that, or using a credit. So maybe I think she said she did a trade. So I think with some of these places it is possible to do a trade. So if you don't want to pull the money out yourself, but you have an item that basically you can get that value for to help offset costs, then it would make sense that, if you already know I'm going to purchase from Rebag this same item, then maybe you do sell it to them and then take that money that you were going to get anyway and put it towards the item that you want. So that way it kind of offsets the cost, or maybe it completely pays for the item in full, just depending on what you're giving them and what you want. So that might be a good option for you. So that way it's kind of like you doing a trade versus outright doing two separate transactions, two different purchases, or having to look for that item before you purchase it. So that might be something. Now, I'm not saying that they offer trades. I think Rebag actually does some kind of way you can do a trade for an item. I think Fashionphile also has that option too, but I wanted to list that out there because that could be another option, so that way you're exchanging basically something for what you no longer want and taking the value for it and getting something else that you want from that same person. So it would make more sense because you're going to transact with them anyway when you get your funds to purchase the item that you're looking for. Definitely comment down below if there's anything that you can think about, which would be reasons why you would want to go with these larger companies. Also, let me know if there's other videos related to pre-owned that you want to see. I would love to get your questions as well as your video suggestions. So, and even if it's not related to pre-owned, let me know if there's other handbag related topics or lifestyle topics you want to see, because I'm trying to I have ideas, but I want to make sure it's things that you all want to see. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye. Oh my gosh. Oh, I've been cooking and trying to grout the shower, so sorry. I'm just all over the place. We'll incorporate lifestyle photos.